Hey everyone, hi. Okay, wow, this this took me a little more setting up than I had expected, but that's okay. We are set up now. Hi. What are we doing today? Today I am going to reorganize and go through my nonfiction collection. I have my nonfiction is all kind of grouped in one big group, and I would like to subcategorize the organization of my nonfiction. That's the plan. If you are new here, and if you are not, welcome. Hi. If you are new, then I am Shelly, and I really love books and reading. I am a librarian by education. That is my expertise, I suppose you can say. So the way I've come to and developed my thinking around thinking of my book collection is that I think of my book collection as a whole bunch of different collections within a larger library, the library being my home library. And it's what I've realized has worked best for me, and it helps me, kind of keep organized in my own way. But then we get into a situation like this, in which everything is here, there, and everywhere. There is too many books in a single collection, and I need to subcategorize. So if you like this kind of video, if you love books and reading and like organizational videos, I suppose, because that's what this is, then I would encourage you to subscribe, stick around, and without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into the meat of this video. By far, one of the most commented on things that I get comments on from here, there, and everywhere is this woman sitting in the background. I bought this at the secondhand store for $1. It's a Klimt. It's a Klimt reproduction. But I really like her. I think she's stoic but wearing this really rad outfit, and I really enjoy having her behind me. But behind her are my nonfiction books. So I'm going to set her down. I don't know. She moves from time to time. I also have a stack off, like right here. Maybe I'll move this closer. I have a stack, there's my phone, a stack of books here that are also nonfiction, and we'll kind of see what we get up to and see how we end up organizing everything. But yeah, here are my nonfiction books. There's a lot of them. Most of these, I think the vast majority of these are unread. Let me think about how I would like to organize this. Okay, I think I'm going to start with memoirs, biographies, and memoirs, biographies those are two separate things. Then I'm going to also do nature writing and religion. Nature writing and religion. I think those are going to be my subcategories. So memoirs, biographies, nature writing. I'm clarifying for myself. Nature writing and religion. Okay, I'm going to put things into piles and see where I'm at from there. Upstream by Mary Oliver is nature writing. A Gift from a Friend, The Stripping of the Altar. This is definitely religion. It's about, I don't know. This major revisionist account of the pre-Reformation church creates lay people's experience of religion in 15th century England. Eamon Duffy, which is Eamon Duffy, who's our author, shows the late medieval Catholicism was neither decant nor decayed, but was a strong and rigorous tradition, and that the Reformation represented a violent rupture from a popular and theologically respectable religious system. So it's giving you, I think, the other side of the other account from the Reformation movement that happened in the 15th century. This is a gift from a friend. He's a very Catholic friend of mine, and he often shudders when I don't know, like when I was like, I love Thomas Cromwell, he was like, the man is evil, we're kind of opposites when it comes to the way that we think about the world and approach the world at times. A book from my mother, The Color of Water by James McBride, memoir. A gift from a friend, In the Land of Men by Adrienne Miller. This was the lover of David Foster Wallace, and she writes about her time at Esquire. This is a memoir. Reading Lolita in Tehran. This is a memoir. An Exclusive Love, a memoir. This was written from I think the granddaughter of two Holocaust survivors, Hungarian Jews who survived the Holocaust. And it's their granddaughter telling the story, so a memoir. The Fox and I. This is a woman who is, by Catherine Raven. This is a story of a woman, I've not read this. This is the story of a woman who is tired of humanity and living among humans, and so she escapes to, to a more solitary and secluded place, and in that journey befriends a fox. This I would put under actually nature writing. So even though I don't think it's really telling of her life, I think it's more about her time living in seclusion essentially, and her time befriending a fox. So I'm gonna put this in nature writing. Bad Feminist by Roxane Gay. I've started this multiple times. I do want to read it. I've heard it's incredible. It's such a good read. I've yet to actually read it. So anyways, but this is essays, so I might have an extra, I might have an extra spot for essays. I'm gonna see how that goes. The Vagina Monologues, I would actually put this under essays because they're little monologues, and this is by Eve Ensler. This is read. I read this last year and I really enjoyed it. It was funnier than I thought it was going to be. Catherine the Great, one of my favorite biographies of all time, by Robert K. Massey. This is a biography. I know that for sure. So starting a new pile, biographies. Right, I have The Professor and the Madman. This is subtitled A Tale of Murder, Insanity, and the Making of the Oxford English Dictionary. This is a historical account. This is by Simon Winchester. Again, this is a historical account. This is probably one of the oldest unread books on my TBR. Like, I've had this for such a long time. I still haven't read it. Maybe I need another pile for history. So I'll put that, I'm gonna put it in a separate pile. History. Angela's Ashes by Frank McCourt. I have yet to read this. This is the winner of the Pulitzer Prize. This is a memoir. Actually this is one of those books that my dad sometimes teases me about. He's like, you haven't read Frank McCourt's Angela's Ashes? What? Because I am truly the last person on this earth who hasn't read this. So, memoir. Oh, a book that I'm actually going to be giving to a friend. So this is Unbroken by Lauren Hillenbrand. I read this a couple of years ago while I was actually on YouTube. This is the story of Zamperini. What is his name? Frank Zamperini? Something like that. Mr. Zamperini, Louis Zamperini, who was an Olympian and also served in World War II, was a prisoner of war in Japan. You can imagine, the setup right there is enough for you to get interested. This is fantastic, one of my favorite biographies, and it's a really beautiful, harrowing, yet hopeful account. And a young man, a former student of mine was asking me for book recommendations, and I was like, oh, I have a great book recommendation. Actually, I will give you this book. No pressure for that former student to read it, but is available to him whenever he's in the mood. It's a really, really good book. So I'm gonna put this in. The piles are growing on the floor. Okay, I'm gonna put this in a giveaway pile. One of my favorite memoirs of all time is The Night by Elie Wiesel. Love this. Winner of the Nobel Peace Prize, quite rightfully so. Beautiful. I am due for a reread on this. It's a beautiful account of Wiesel's time living through the Holocaust, and it's very much set up in this way of this. He looks at his experience of the Holocaust through the lens of humanity, and has some really interesting observations that he puts in. It's just a really good, it's a really lovely and beautifully written account. What it was like to experience the tragedies and the horrors of living in an internment camp. And it's just so well done. I really need to reread this, but it's so good. Ring of Bright Water by Gavin Maxwell, another excellent memoir. Gavin Maxwell, yeah, the Western Highlands of Scotland. That's where he is living, and he ends up getting pet otters. I don't agree with everything in here, but there are some beautiful writings, like the world building and his accounts of descriptions and accounts of nature is, oh, so good. Just yummy, yummy, yummy. Now I'm like, do I, wait, I put this in memoir sort of as like a knee-jerk reaction to this book, but this is more about nature writing than it is a memoir. So I'm actually going to put this in the pile of nature writing. This is Jane Austen, A Life by Claire Tomalin, a wonderful account of Jane Austen's life, from what little there is of her life, actually. There's a detailed account of her family and observations and musings of what her family was like, and I really enjoyed this. I read this on my first year on BookTube, and I really enjoyed this biography. A Naturalist Buys an Old Farm by Edwin Wade Teale. This is exactly what it says. Edwin Wade Teale, from what I know, he goes from having, what is it? He has a 4-volume Pulitzer Prize winning series called American Seasons. And so I think those essays and those volumes are about America as a whole. So like a large scope. And he goes from this incredibly large scope writing to something very minuscule, small, teeny. I know that Edwin Wade Teale is a master of nature writing. I just have yet to pick this up. I am interested in it. It's an older copy. Anyways, it goes under naturalist writing, but now I'm like, let's see how this reads. This is called 3 Circles on a Map. If this were a chapter in Cervantes's Don Quixote, it might be entitled, Wherein is Discovered the Surroundings in Which We Find Ourselves and Other Passages Worthy of Happy Memory. It recounts our search for a home in the country. It tells where we are and how we got there. Huh. All right, well, wow, there's like immediately, just from those couple of sentences, you get a sense that Edwin Wade Teale, is that his name? Yes, Edwin Wade Teale has a little bit of personality. I love that. Because one of my critiques for the BookTube Prize, I'm reading nonfiction for the BookTube Prize, is some of the books lack a little bit of personality. Let's read a little bit more. A friend of mine once asked me if it were true, as he had heard, that we place a silver dollar on a map of this state and moved it about until we found a place where no communities of any size under a coin and then settled there. Of any size were under a coin, settled there. That story, no doubt, has its source in the 3 red circles I trace on a map of the eastern states. Okay, so it seems like a very intentional account. Like he intentionally meant to move to a farm in which there are less people around. So that's quite interesting, but it goes under naturalist writing, and now I'm interested, at least, in this book. Or it's reinvigorated my interest in the book. All right, a book that I know that everyone says I will love, and I still haven't read it, but it is My Life in France by Julia Child. I've heard that this is her memoir and so much more, because oh gosh, I am one of those people who has watched old reruns of Julia Child, and she is so entertaining. She is so interesting when you watch her and you watch her describe food, and it's just a peep into a different time. And I have a feeling that I would really love this memoir. This is the movie edition cover, which I don't care, but I've heard it's such a good memoir, and I've yet to read it. So anyways, memoir. And then finally, at least in the pile that I had next to me without even diving into the books here, oh my goodness, is The Mockingbird Next Door, Life with Harper Lee. And let's see what this says. It is about To Kill a Mockingbird is one of the best loved novels of the 20th century. True, I love To Kill a Mockingbird. But for the last 50 years, the novel's celebrated author, Harper Lee, known to her friends as Nell, has said almost nothing on the record. Journalists have trekked to her hometown in Monroeville, Alabama, where she lived part of the year with her sister, Alice Finch Lee, for decades, trying and failing to get an interview with the author. But in 2001, the Lee sisters opened their door to Chicago Tribune journalist Marja Mills. It was the beginning of a long conversation and a wonderful friendship. Okay, interesting. I actually didn't know what this book was about. This is a gift. It's a signed copy by Marja Mills. Marja Mills signed this copy, and it is a gift from my father-in-law. I have a visitor. Always crash my videos. You always crash my... So silly. Alright, let's just grab a stack of these. I'm gonna try and actually speed this up a tiny bit. So we have The Salt Path by Raynor Winn. I hauled this recently. It is a memoir. A lot of people say that I will really like it since I really love Cheryl Strayed's memoir Wild, and this has similar vibes to it. Truth and Beauty by Ann Patchett. This is her memoir focusing on the friendship that she had with poet Lucy Greeley. Yeah, have yet to read this. I read my first Ann Patchett this year and really loved it. The Curve of Time by M.W. Blanche. This is her memoir of, this is what it says. After her husband died in 1926, leaving her with 5 young children, everyone expected the struggles of single motherhood on a remote island to overwhelm M. Wiley Blanchett. Instead, this extraordinary woman became one of the pioneers of family travel, acting as both mother and captain of a 25-foot boat that became her family's home during summer months along the wild coast of British Columbia. This is a recommendation from a subscriber, and I was really glad to pick it up. It's not a super long book, but I have yet to read it. This is how it starts. On board our boat one summer, we had a book by Maurice Maeterlinck called The Fourth Dimension. The fourth dimension being time, which according to Donne doesn't exist in itself, but is always relative to the person who has the idea of time. Maeterlinck used a curve to illustrate Donne's theory. Standing in the present or on the highest point of the curve, you can look back and see the past, or forward and see the future, all in the same instant. Or if you stand off to one side of this curve, as I am doing, your eye wanders from one to the other without any distinction. That was more interesting than I thought it would be. Okay, this goes under memoir. This is actually Ted's book. So let's see. This is called Aristotle's Children, How Christians, Muslims, and Jews Rediscovered Ancient Wisdom and Illuminated the Middle Ages. So, and this is actually filed under history, but it says, in the late Middle Ages, an intellectual explosion transformed Europe and coursed through the Western world, triggering student riots and heresy trials and setting the stage for today's rift between reason and religion. The ideas came from Aristotle. His work, like the rest of Greek culture, has been lost in the centuries after the fall of Rome. But in the Muslim world, the wisdom of the Greeks was never lost and contributed to the flowering of Islamic culture. Okay, So this will be filed under history. I have Lab Girl by Hope Jaron. I have read the beginning of this and I really, really liked it, but of course other things took my attention away. And this is, from what I know of it, is a beautiful blend of nature writing and memoir together. So I'm gonna put this under nature writing. One of May Sarton's journals, Journal of Solitude. May Sarton is a writer of both fiction and nonfiction, and her journals are something to read. There are fans of May Sarton's out there. So this goes under memoir. Well, I didn't realize I had so many memoirs. My dad said this was a page turner. This is a gift from him, and it is The Long Walk by Slavomir Raux. I'm gonna just Rawicks. Is that right? In 1941, the author and 6 fellow prisoners escaped a Soviet labor camp in Yakutsk, a camp where surviving hunger, cold, untended wounds, and untreated illness, and avoiding daily executions were everyday feats. Again, my dad said this was a page turner. I think when I showed it in a video earlier in the year, or I don't know when I showed this, but I mean, who knows what time it is even. But anyways, when I showed this earlier, a couple of comments. I'm like, focus, Shelly, you're losing the train of thought. When I showed this in a video earlier this year, I believe, there were several comments that said this is a really, really good book. So I'm gonna put this in the memoir pile, and my hairband just broke, so I'm gonna go get another one. I have this memoir by Simone de Beauvoir, with the Memoirs of a Dutiful Daughter. She is most known for her book, The Second Sex? I don't know, actually. Oh, this is translated from the French by James Kirkup. And let's see, I was born at 4 o'clock in the morning on the 9th of January, 1908, in a room fitted with white enamel furniture and overlooking the Boulevard Raspail. In the family photographs taken the following summer can be seen ladies in long dresses and ostrich feather hats, and gentlemen wearing boaters and Panamas, all smiling at a baby. They were my parents, my grandfather, uncles, aunts, and the baby is me. Okay, that is actually a lot more readable. You know, you think, I don't know, sometimes I'm like, is it gonna even be enjoyable? I bought this on a whim. I know the author is, I cannot remember her seminal work, but she has one. Oh yeah, The Second Sex. I was right. Why do I doubt myself? Anyways, but I picked up this memoir because I was like, oh, I know Simone de Beauvoir. She is a front runner in feminist, literature and conversation. So clearly her memoir is going to be great. But I quite liked the way that started, and I like these older editions of books. I don't know. They make me happy. So I'm going to put this under memoir because apparently I don't have enough of those. I just saw Steve Donahue talk about this book, and it has reinvigorated my interest in this book, and it is Stacy Schiff's Cleopatra. It is her biography of Cleopatra, and I heard it is fantastic. Biographies. A bunch of my books that I've been reading recently have actually referenced this one, and it is Silent Spring by Rachel Carson. This is a classic in the environmental movement, and is going to go under my nature writing. Marguerite Duras's memoir, The War. These extraordinary pages, written in 1944 and first published in 1985, form a totally new image of the heroine of The Lover, and through her of Paris during the Nazi occupation and the first months of liberation. So yes, she wrote The Lover, which is a book that I read a few years ago, and I enjoyed it. It was very different than I thought it was going to be, but this is a memoir of her time living through World War II. It's gonna go under memoir yet again. Oh my gosh, another memoir. Okay, this is 7 Pillars of Wisdom, A Triumph, and this is by T.E. Lawrence. More than 70 years ago, T.E. Lawrence, universally known as Lawrence of Arabia, wrote these self-effacing words in the introductory chapter of his monumental epic, 7 Pillars of Wisdom. Not even a man as hopeful for immortality, as he could have predicted how enduring the place in 20th century English literature his extraordinary memoir would claim. Okay, let's see how this starts. Some of the evil in my tale may have been inherent in our circumstances. For years we lived anyhow with one another in the naked desert under the indifferent heaven. By day the hot sun fermented us, and we were dizzied by the beating wind. All right, the words are quite alive on the page. You know what, sometimes I look at these books and I'm like, it's going to be 2,000 pages. And really it's not that long. It is, there are pictures. It is it's about 660 pages. I have Peter Ackroyd's The History of England from Henry VIII to Elizabeth I. So the Tudors, which it says the Tudors. This will go under history. Prairie Fires, which I heard is an incredible biography of Laura Ingalls Wilder. And it's called Prairie Fires, The American Dreams of Laura Ingalls Wilder, who wrote Little House on the Prairie. And I've heard it's so good, and yet I've yet to pick it up. So this is gonna go under biography. I love Robert K. Massey so much. I bought his other book. He has a 4-book series on Russian history. So it's Peter the Great, Nikolai and Alexandria, I think, and the Catherine the Great, and the Romanovs, the final chapter. And so I have this, and it is, Nicholas and Alexandria. I was right. So here is what it says. In July 1991, 9 skeletons were exhumed from the shallow mass grave near Ekaterinburg, Siberia, a few miles from the infamous cellar room where the last Tsar and his family had been murdered 73 years before. But were these the bones of the Romanovs? So I guess it's, following that story. So this is gonna go under biography. That's what makes sense most to me. A beautiful card for my husband. I have a biography of a 19th century Bostonian socialite, and it's Mrs. Jack. And it's the biography of Isabella Stewart Gardner, and this is by Louise Hall Tharp. And so this is gonna go into biographies. And the final memoir, at least in this pile, is Annie Dillard's An American Childhood. I have a middling relationship with Annie Dillard. She wrote one of my favorite nature books of all time called Pilgrim at Tinker Creek. And then I read one of her memoir. It's a very slim book on the writing life. That wasn't so good. And I have this one now. And this is her, I'm familiar with her writing. And this is her account growing up somewhere in America. She has a map of Pittsburgh in the 1800s. So maybe she grew up in the northeast of the United States. That's where I'm gonna guess she grows up around. Okay, so another memoir. My memoir stack is like huge. Okay, I bought this because of Gloria Z. Thompson. She said this was amazing, and it's Penguin the Magpie, the odd little bird who saved a family, and this is by Cameron Bloom and Bradley Trevor Grieve. And this is a memoir of a family who takes in a penguin, and one of the folks is a photographer. I don't know if it's the mother or the father. There is quite a bit of photography in here as well, so it's their account but through words and photographs. So I guess this is memoir too. So many memoirs, y'all. H is for Hawk by Helen MacDonald. This is her memoir in which it is following the time after her father passes, and she decides to take on the monumental task of training a hawk. And while she's doing so, she is comparing her experience to that of T.H. White's. I have read this, and it was fantastic. It was fan-freaking-tastic. I love this book. Svetlana Alexievich, The Unwomanly Face of War. This is an oral history of the women who fought in World War II. It's supposed to be incredible. I have started this, and some of the scenes that she describes has stuck with me, even in the 20 pages that I read. So this is going to go under, what, history? history. It's not biography, so it would be history. The Radium Girls. This is about women who had who were in contact with radium through painting on the glow-in-the-dark feature of watches during the early 20th century. This is their story. I'm gonna actually put this under history. The History of God. This is by Karen Armstrong. This is definitely religion. The Soul of an Octopus. This is by Cy Montgomery. And she talks about octopus and their consciousness, or octopi and their consciousness. So this is gonna go under nature writing. I have a book that is misfiled. It was in the wrong section, and this is Umberto Eco's Baldino. This was my husband's book. We've owned it for ages. I have not read it. I don't think he's even read it, but I'm going to put this under historical fiction. We're getting to the end, y'all. Oh my gosh. Gracious. Oh, gracious me. Another misfiled book, also one that was my husband's. I've not read it. I don't think he's read it, and it's Baltazar and Blemuda, Jose Saharmajo. I don't know what this is because it's not mine. But it says Portugal in 1711, and Amarius Friar is pursued naked through the rubble streets of Lisbon, a place I've actually visited. Dom Juan, the fifth monarch, is named on the royal list. Will pay a visit this night to the bedchamber of the Queen, Donna Maria Anna Josefa, who arrived more than 20 years ago from Austria to provide heirs to the Portuguese crown, and so far has shown no signs of becoming pregnant. Okay, well, this is definitely historical fiction. It won, or the author won the Nobel Prize for Literature. There's that. If you've read this, will you tell me about this? Okay, this is obviously misfiled. It's going under historical fiction. Birds of Heaven by Peter Matheson. This is talking all about birds, and it is going under nature writing. So this is Travels with Cranes. Oh, I quite like that. Oh, there are paintings and drawings in here by Robert Bateman. Oh, I didn't know that. I love paintings of birds. I think they're beautiful. Oh, I love it so much already. So here's the pictures. Okay, this is going under nature writing. I can't tell. Okay, so I've been sitting here looking at this book, The Mistress of the Vatican. Oh, The True Story. I was like, is it fiction or nonfiction? The True Story of Olympia Madelcini, the Secret Female Pope. And this is by Eleanor Herman. So this is going to go under, if it's the secret, okay, it's the story of a person, secret pope. I'm going to put this under history, I think. Oh my gosh, we have something totally different. Current affairs. Okay, so this is Alexandria Minister. It's the Proud Boys in the White Ethno-State, how the alt-right is warping the American imagination. I read about half of this and it scared me to death. So this is current affairs. Where do we put this? This is going to be on its own. Current affairs. The publisher sent me this book, and then I talked about it a tiny bit, and then I never said anything, and I haven't read it yet. So this is Lisa Thompson's Finding Elevation, Fear and Courage on the World's Most Dangerous Mountain, and I think this is a climbing memoir. So it's going to under memoir yet again. Oh my gosh, I thought these were essays, and this is another memoir. So this is Rebecca Solnit's Recollections of My Non-Existence. This is another memoir. Okay, we do have a history book now. Helen Rappaport's, this was a gift from a friend, Helen Rappaport's After the Romanovs, which is going to be telling us, actually Steve just talked about this. This is Paris has been a city of cultural excellence, fine wine and food, and the latest fashions, but has also been a place of refuge for those fleeing persecution, never more so than before after the Russian Revolution and the fall of the Romanov dynasty. So it's truly going to be following around a bunch of different people of what it was like after the Romanovs left, or, you know, no longer have power. So this is going to go under history, I suppose. Consider the Lobster is a bunch of essays by David Foster Wallace. So this is going to go under essays, which I've lost. Oh, right here. Look at this beautiful bookmark from a friend. Sometimes I don't want my children to get to things that I find quite precious. This was a gift from a friend. It's beautiful. And so I stick it in between books or something, but then I lose it for a while. And then when I do something like this, like reorganization, I'm like, oh yeah, it's so wonderful, it's so beautiful. This bookmark. The Life She Wished to Live. This is the biography of Marjorie Kinnan Rawlings, who's the author of The Yearling. And this will go under biography. You thought I was done? Oh no. Oh no. I have a table of books of unsorted books. And I am going to grab all the nonfiction that's on this table. All right, I have Endless Forums by Syrian Sumner. And this is all about the secret world of wasps. So that goes under nature. A history book of the 14th century, Barbara W. Tuchman's A Distant Mirror. Steve Donahue also recommended this, but this will go under history. My Dear Friend, Dear Friend, From My Life I Write to You by Yin Yun Lee. This was a Shawn the Book Maniac recommendation, and this is going to go under memoir. The aforementioned Pilgrim and Tinker Creek by Annie Dillard, under nature writing. And Virginia Woolf, a biography by Quentin Bell, which is going to go under biography. Although I really ought to have a whole dedicated section of my Virginia Woolf books because love her. Another memoir, I just talked about this as a Garb August potential, although I've heard this is not garbage and it's an incredible memoir, but it's Born a Crime by Trevor Noah. So it's going to go under memoir, but it would fall under Garb August as celebrity memoir. And then Gilmore Girls, the companion guide to Gilmore Girls, which just has like the behind the scenes and inspirations and things like that. And I don't know where to put this. I think I'll put it somewhere. I don't know. Okay, I am going to change the camera angle ever so slightly, and I'm going to start stacking. I think what I'm going to do is in this section right here, you can see the scuffs on my wall. How embarrassing. I think in this section right here, I'm going to put all of my memoirs. We'll see how that goes. And then from, I don't know. And then we'll, okay, I'm going to start there and then we'll go from there. Okay. That's what we're going to do. It just barely fit. Okay. Next, I think I'm going to do biography and history in the same stack. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do biography and history in the same stack. So in between the stacks, I want to put some of my smaller sections. So on one side, I'm going to put the religious books, and then on the other side, I'm going to see how it all fits. On the other side, I'm going to put the essays, the book of essays, the stack of essays rather. So religion. I'm going to actually reshuffle a tiny bit at the top. You might get a weird angle, but I'm going to put all of the nature books sort of up higher. I'm going to put my nature books right up here. So sorry about the weird wonky angle. I'm going to put my kind of two random books next to that, so they can be in a little shelf, a little spot of their own. Okay, more or less back to center. So we have memoirs, which is quite a bit, essays, history and biographies, religious books on the other side of that, which is there. So religious, where am I at? Right there are religious books, and then up top I have a stack of my nature books. So the last thing to do is put her back, and I think I'm going to put her right there. Okay. Well, all right. Wow, that was quite the task, but thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here, and coming along with this process with me. I really appreciate it, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye.